Hi, I'm Halima Henderson. I'm an opening act teaching artist, and I just self-produced my first short film called Sorry, which is award-winning. And I'm also going to share some advice on some things that I've learned as a producer myself and as an actor on this journey. Film Freeway is basically an online platform that allows you to submit digitally to film festivals all over the world. Most importantly, you need a film. So that's, you would start there. After you had your film produced in the can, you would upload your film to Film Freeway. There's certain questions that you have to ask, a little application. It's almost like setting up a social media page, but for your project. And then once you have that project page up, then you could start submitting to different festivals. So they would ask you for basically what we call a press kit. They would want your film's trailer, your film's movie poster. A statement usually comes from the director or the writer. A list of credits from everybody that's included on your film, everyone from in front of camera to behind camera, producers, folks that did any sound or music for your film or scored it, all of those. So all those credits would also be included. Once you've got all that done, everything is packaged, you've uploaded, like I said, the poster, you've uploaded your film, you've uploaded your director statements, pictures, still shots from your project. Then what you do is you can scroll through pages and pages and pages of film festivals. So the first thing you probably want to do before you start submitting is figure out where your film fits best. Right? And that takes a little bit of work. It could be, my film, for instance, is a romantic comedy. So the first thing that I did was I filtered and looked for festivals that were looking for romantic comedies. I also knew that the majority of my, what we would call producers, director, writer, were also people of color. So I also then looked for film festivals that were looking for submissions from people of color. That helped me narrow it down. I knew that I didn't want to submit for any international films, so then that also narrowed it down because I knew that I wanted to submit for festivals that were here in the States. How do I celebrate? With my friends, nice dinner. The celebration, I feel like once you've produced something, getting accepted into the film festivals in itself is the celebration. And this isn't to say that there's anything wrong with it. A lot of folks have different reasons for wanting to create a film. So they might think, oh, I want to get into Sundance and I want to win a grand jury prize. I didn't create this with the idea that I was going to win all these awards and honors. So for me, getting into the film festivals was the win, was the victory. Finishing the film in itself is a victory. Doing short films that are self-produced, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money, and there are many, many, many projects that get created that never see the light of day. The fact that I have a product that I was able to present to people, that people are now watching, that's the celebration. It takes a while. It takes a while. So I researched which festivals I wanted to submit for a good month before I actually sat down and started submitting, because it's not free, right? The submission fees to submit are anywhere from $25 to $150, depending on how early you submit. They'll usually have like a early bird deadline, just past the early bird deadline, regular, late, extra late, and the price goes up with each one of those windows. So I needed to be really strategic because my short film was on a micro budget, so there wasn't a lot of money. And most of the money that I had was spent during production. So that meant that I needed to be really judicious about which festivals I was submitting to. Once you submit, your submission will tell you a notification date. So say I submitted for a film festival on October 10th, it would say this film festival runs from December 31st through January 2nd, and your notification date is Thanksgiving. So then I would kind of know about when I should hear. But oftentimes the film festival directors, they get busy, right? Sometimes it's not their only job running the film festival. Life happens and they have to push it back. And generally they would reach out and say, hey, we have your materials, but we're holding right now. We have some other things that we have to complete. So I would say from the time I submitted from my first festival to the time I heard back, I got my first notification in August. So what is that, like 3 months? The film festivals also happen on a bit of a circuit. So everything happens at once. So once I heard from one, I started hearing from all of the ones that I heard from at about the same time. Me. The producer pays the application fees. So I worked as the producer on this film. So that came down to me, came out of my pocket. I decided to crowdfund for my short film. So back in 2018, I crowdfunded for 3 weeks. The director asked me to raise $5,000. I got the $5,000 and she said we could make a piece of art with 10. So I raised 10. We got closer to production. We needed more money. I raised another 5. So $15,000. What I didn't know and what I wish I would have known was all of that money was for pre-production and production, which meant there was nothing left for post. And post is a lot of money. If you don't have any post-production, then everything just sits in a can, and that's where a lot of filmmakers run into problems because they run out of money. So I was able to find someone that decided to sign on as an executive producer and gave me another huge chunk of money. So my 5 minutes and 41-second film cost me just over $15,000 and counting with all of my film festival submissions. But that's all on your producer, your executive producer, to raise that money. And some came out of my own pocket because it's something I really believed in. So yes, I produced this, and then it was also my first starring role. I did not direct myself, and I did not write this. I actually had a writer-director that worked on the film with me. So she directed everything. So I did not have to do that on set, which was great because it was really challenging being both an actor and being the producer, knowing that we had close to $80,000 worth of equipment. And if something was broken, my name was on all of that equipment, right? So there were times that I was thinking about my Steadicam operator that had to walk backwards down a street in Jersey City for a half a block. And all I could think was, if they fall over and like crack their head open, I'm gonna be liable for that. So it was nice to at least have a little bit of a separation, knowing that I had hired a director. Would I do it again this way? Probably not. I would probably not produce something that I was also in, just because it was a lot. It was a lot of work, especially because it was my first time being a producer. It was a lot, but I learned a lot too. So. It depends on the size of the festival. Most of the festivals that I submitted to were jury related, meaning that there was a panel of people that sat down, that watched all the films. One festival was open enough to actually say, this is how you get selected. You need to be in the top 30% of all of the films that are submitted to go forward. One particular festival said, okay, well, now you've been selected, you've also been nominated for an award, and you've been nominated for that award because out of those 30% of films that we selected, you were in the top 15%. And then after that, it goes to a vote. right? And they'll vote for different things. But every film festival has kind of a different setup for how they do their nominations and their selection process. And another quick tip is that just because you're selected at a festival doesn't mean that you get screened, which is a fancy way of saying they may not show your film. So you could get selected in a festival, but they don't show your film for whatever reason. Yes and no. Some film festivals will say we are specifically looking for films made in New York, right? So that would be something, I'm a New York filmmaker, I could submit there. Most film festivals are open to you wherever you are in the world. And they will actually, I just chatted with someone today from India that said, we have a festival in Calcutta and we saw your teaser. We'd really like you to come and submit for this. So it doesn't really matter. There's sometimes producers, filmmakers will only want their films to be shown someplace. So say you want to go to Sundance. Sundance stipulates, hey, if you come and you apply to us, we're a very prestigious film festival, we want to be the first people to show your film. If you have screened your film anywhere else, we don't want it, because we want to be first. We want to be the ones that get to say, we saw your film first, we loved it, we're introducing you to the world. So you have to read all of the instructions. What are they looking for? What are they asking you for? Is it that you really want your film to debut in your hometown first? Well, then you can't submit over here because they've already said, we want exclusivity to this. Pro tip, read the instructions, read what you're signing. Read what you're signing, read it again, read it a third time, read it a fourth time. Know what you're signing up for, because not every film festival is created equal. While I would love to say that I got to be a jet setter, unfortunately, the pandemic kind of tempered the fun of travel. Most of the film festivals that I submitted to were hybrid models. So you could go in person, but there was also an online version. So I was really lucky that I was able to participate in panels, meet filmmakers from all over the world from my living room. I hope that I have one more year. Most film festivals will only let you apply for 2 years because they don't want things that have been out there for so long. So I hope to spend next year actually traveling to some. That also goes into your budget though, because you have to be able to pay for your hotel room, your travel, your food, all of that. The festivals don't pay for that.